county started spending more money than it had coming in, and it also started eliminating services. So once Douglas County had approximately 1,200 employees, full-time equivalent employees, now we're down to just over 500. And that's a direct reflection of the lack of timber receipts coming into the county. It's very clear in our budgeting. Go back and look at the books. You can see there was years that we received $50 million of timber receipts. It by far was our highest, and that's times when our general fund budget and our total fund budgets were much less than now. It was our highest by far revenue stream. Today, that is not the case. With the lack of timber receipts, because the lack of timber harvest on federal lands, the counties had to make very difficult decisions.
Timber.
So, library system. The library system is not a statutory mandated function of county government. Again, the county had one of the most extensive library systems because of timber receipts. Here in Douglas County, there was work done. I wasn't one of the commissioners that worked on it, but other commissioners worked on it and found a way to continue to operate libraries. And it's a combination of the city of Roseburg running the big library here. We granted them that building to do that work. They partnered with ESD and are able to do that work in a very appropriate way, not near to the degree that when the county system was, but they're doing it very well. And then the smaller libraries around all the cities, there's a combination of different things that happen there, including a few cities pass tax levies to run their libraries. Some cities are running them with nonprofits and volunteers. So lots of things that have changed, but I will, again, I want to say this again, there's been absolutely no report, record, audit of anything done wrong to Douglas County in Title III dollars. There's a newspaper article, but that's all there is that they had to do retractions on. So let's be really careful when we start saying that things were done wrong. Every year this is audited through the county. We did a special audit where they spent a whole bunch of time looking at it. And again, no problems here at Douglas County with Title III spending. And finally, I'll remind everybody again, Title III dollars were a replacement for timber receipts and continue to be that very small replacement for timber receipts at a much lower level than timber receipts were ever when we have timber receipts.
Are you gonna explain the use of the money for the bridge then?
Okay, oh yeah, I can cover the second part. So that's the search and rescue vehicle. So the Community Wildfire Protection Plan, in the early versions there was some different interpretation, but for the most of the life of Title III, it was determined that you could only do planning in the Community Wildfire Protection Plan. That was the standard operation in which counties should be going by. Not all counties did that, our county did, and it followed the guidance throughout the life of the program. Again, a few years ago, they changed the program, they changed the allowable uses, and they added the words, and carry out. They added 3 words, and carry out. So now you can do the planning and you can carry out the wildfire protection plan. Again, in different versions of that, it said implement. The congressional intent is to do the work that the wildfire protection plan establishes as necessary. So the way that plan is developed, we grant some Title III dollars to the planning department to do that planning work. They have a great staff that goes and does that. They travel all over the county, they take public input. I attended most of the sessions. None of the sessions I was at were any of the private timber companies or any timber company representatives in attendance. It was citizens from the communities. The citizens were very clear about their concern over weight-restricted bridges and access for fire equipment to fire-prone areas. And so, since that's part of the wildfire protection plan, and the law now allows you to carry out the plan, it's appropriate to use these dollars to do that. You know, there was again a question about why we don't have the money to maintain these. Well, when we used to get tens or you know, more than tens, we used to get $25 million at least a year off U.S. Forest Service timber receipts for maintaining roads and bridges. It was easy to maintain roads and bridges. But today, we don't get that amount of money, and it's not sufficient to do the maintenance. So, again, these dollars are a replacement for that and very taxable. for those very timber receipts that we used to get. So it's very appropriate to use them for bridges.
One other thing I was gonna mention, and thank you guys again for trying to get involved, but I would encourage you to, as Commissioner Freeman said, be careful about what you listen to and what you believe. Just do the information. the
Don't
research
lie.
yourself. What we're telling you is the truth. We've been working very diligent and trying to solve some very difficult problems for a long time. When we do it, we want to do it right. And you laugh, and I'm just gonna tell you that that's a big part of the problem. You guys have come in here this morning predisposed to believe that anything that we tell you isn't gonna be the truth, and you're not gonna believe anything we say anyway.
That's not
Which is
true.
a huge part of the problem. There's no reason to lie to anybody. We're here to do the work on behalf of the citizens of Douglas County. We take it seriously, and we do it well.
Where's your money coming
One
from?
gentleman did point out though, and I'd like to bring light to this, about how the private timber companies do affect the community and how we do coexist together. The bridge that you mentioned in Scouts Creek, that all the public drives back and forth on and relies upon, is a privately owned bridge. It's not a publicly owned bridge, it's owned by a private timber company. They built the bridge,
Exactly.
they own the bridge, they provide access to the public, to all those homes back there. When there was a need to have that bridge repaired, they paid for the repair for the bridge so that fire equipment could get back into all those communities.
So
Exactly.
that bridge started before the South Street fire.
And the repairs were well underway before the fire started, but it's
That's
a
not
privately
true.
owned bridge. And it's owned by a timber company, and they do that, obviously, to access their own lands, but they also are more than willing to share that use of that bridge with the public because it's important. That's one example of many. The severance tax issue, we're aware of it. It's complicated. And to say that it works in California and it works in Washington is to say that
What about Idaho?
it should work everywhere. But the truth is, there's many layers of taxes that everyone is subject to in the timber industry, and they aren't all the same. Although Washington and Idaho or Washington and California may have a severance tax, their tax structure as a whole isn't the same as Oregon's. And to just say that because they have one, we should have one, doesn't work that way. It's been
We had
investigated.
one.
It's really up to the state legislature to make that decision. We've heard the argument. We understand it. It's not our decision to make. And if they do make that change, adding a severance tax alone isn't gonna solve the problem. It's gonna be a more complex fix than that. And that argument needs to be made with the legislature. That's all I have this morning. Meeting adjourned. Thank you.